The Rise of Skywalker is described to be a Star Wars film based within the sequel trilogy that will provide new elements and aspects of the Star Wars franchise that fans have never seen before on the big screen in Star Wars film history. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So what's really exciting about Episode 9 so far is exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to utilize the characters of course, Kylo Ren and Rey. Now we do know that at least for the first and second acts of the film is that J.J. Abrams wants to make Kylo Ren a whole lot more evil than Darth Vader ever was in the original trilogy, and also wants to give Rey a very unique and specific path in this film that is going to actually mirror Luke Skywalker's from the original trilogy in a completely different way. And with that all being done and said, what's really intriguing about all of this is that these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for the film. Now specifically, shot descriptions consisting of both Kylo Ren and Rey chasing each other on foot away from a large explosion that was created by one of the superweapons in suborbital space that aimed down at the battlefield. It's described that both Kylo and Rey's lightsabers are ignited as they run away from the shockwave before they both dive into a trench. The next describes the dust settling where their saber duel continues, where they are now battling in the trenches of the First Order battlefield, where Rey is said to have the upper hand against Kylo Ren until they eventually exit the trenches and are now in the middle of the field, where their lightsabers lock together, where the environment around them begins to flicker and morph into the moon of Yavin 4, where the Massassi outpost, also known as the Great Temple, can be seen in the background as Kylo Ren and Rey duel with powerful strikes. The scenery is described to take place during daylight, where one of the moves that Kylo performs involves him cutting down some of the trees that almost falls on top of Rey, where she begins to jump over the collapsed trunks of the trees and begins to strike Kylo 3 times while he is pinned down on the ground, before Kylo is able to kick her into mid-air, where he performs an additional force push. The last describes the two now fighting just in front of the iconic entrance of the Massassi outpost, where eventually they go inside and lock sabers again, only to be brought back to the First Order battlefield. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, this is once again something to do with the flash fights in Episode 9, which is fantastic. I know that there are a lot of you guys out there that are either, agreeing with the flash fights or are disagreeing with it, which is perfectly fine. Everybody has their own opinion. In my point of view, this is a great way in order to create a lightsaber duel while also inserting tons of nostalgia that's going to pretty much, take us to all the different worlds of the different eras of the Star Wars films, ranging all the way from the prequels all the way over to the originals and even the sequels. So I want to go over Yavin 4 and what the significance of this planet, or should I say moon, really is. Now, it really does bring one to question, right? Is Yavin 4 really a necessity in order to put this into the flash fight sequence? Now, keep in mind that a lot of the planets that will be showing up in the flash fights are only going to be pretty much, having little short or brief glimpses of those worlds back and forth. So, for example, we will actually be going to Tatooine, then to Mustafar, then to Naboo, back to Tatooine for a different sequence with different angles. It's going to be all over the place, and, I'm not quite sure how it's going to be executed on screen, but this one in particular, going back to the moon of Yavin 4, brings us all the way back to Star Wars A New Hope, a classic movie, also, of course, from 1977, created by George Lucas. It's the film that started it all, so it only makes sense for them to go back to the iconic world of the Skywalker saga, where Luke Skywalker was actually making his journey to battle against the Death Star 1 and, of course, the Empire. So you can really see what they're trying to do with this film. They're trying to really make all of the known worlds the highlights of these flash fights. So far, we have heard about this one, Yavin 4 now, Naboo, Octu, we've even heard about Mustafar, Endor, Hoth, you name it. And I think that this is a good way because we do know that George Lucas handpicked a ton of planets and/or moons or worlds, whatever have you, that would appear in the actual flash fight sequences, which is great. The fact that George was involved in these, flash fights and how they would actually be used between both Rey and Kylo Ren in the third act of Episode 9, to me, I think is rather impressive. So the other thing that I do want to go over is, of course, how Kylo Ren performs a move by cutting down numerous trees that almost fall on top of Rey. So this, once again, is kind of giving us a little bit of of a parallel to what already happened in Starkiller Base, or on Starkiller Base, in The Force Awakens, so I'm not quite sure how I feel about that being pretty much redone, where trees are falling during their lightsaber duel, but keep in mind, they're not going to be here for that long. So, with that being said, like I always say, you know, the flash fights, though it may sound very revolutionary, at the same exact time, I think that there are going to be a lot of fans out there regardless that are not going to agree with this whole entire idea by J.J. Abrams to combine the ideas of force bonds, flashbacks, flash forwards, and mixing that all together with a legitimate lightsaber duel where they are basically battling across space and time. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night